Two people, same lunch, same calories, same meal. One of them burns fat for the next 6 hours while the other one stores it. The food was identical. The portions were identical. The only thing that was different was the hour they ate it. Your body does not treat every hour of the day the same way. It runs on a 24-hour biological clock, and that clock determines whether the meal you just ate gets burned as energy or locked away as fat. Most people are eating at the exact hours when their body is least equipped to burn what they consume, and they have no idea. Today you are going to find out what those hours are, and the simple timing shift that changes what your body does with food for the entire rest of the day. Here is the frustrating reality most people are living right now. You are eating the right foods. You are watching your portions. You are doing everything the conventional advice told you to do, and the fat is not moving. So you assume the problem is the food itself. You cut more. You restrict harder. Some may fast or even try a different diet, but the research is pointing somewhere nobody told you to look. A landmark study published in the journal Cell Metabolism found that when people ate the same number of calories at different times of day, their metabolic response was completely different. Same food, same person, different hour, completely different biological outcome. The problem is not always what you are eating. Sometimes it is when your body is ready to receive it. Every cell in your body contains a biological clock, not a metaphorical clock, a literal molecular mechanism called the circadian rhythm that runs on a roughly 24-hour cycle and governs almost every metabolic process in your body. This clock controls when your body produces insulin, when it burns fat versus stores it, when your digestive enzymes are active, when your cells are most sensitive to glucose, and when growth hormone peaks and when it falls. Here is the critical part. That clock is anchored to light and darkness, but it is also anchored to when you eat. Every time you consume food, you send a time signal to your metabolism. You are essentially telling your body what time of day it is through your eating pattern, and your body adjusts its fat-burning or fat-storing response accordingly. When your eating pattern aligns with your body's natural metabolic peak, the system runs efficiently. Fat gets burned, energy gets used, insulin stays controlled. When your eating pattern fights against that clock, the same food gets processed completely differently. Insulin spikes higher, fat storage increases. The metabolic machinery that was designed to keep you lean starts working against you. Insulin is the central character in this story. When you eat, especially carbohydrates, your pancreas releases insulin to manage the incoming glucose. Insulin's primary job is to move that glucose out of your bloodstream and into your cells for energy. But insulin has a second job that most people never hear about. When insulin is elevated, fat cells cannot release stored fat into the bloodstream. The fat-burning signal is chemically blocked. Your body cannot access its own stored energy while insulin is high. Full stop. This means your ability to burn fat is not just about what you ate. It is about how long insulin stays elevated after you eat, and how many hours per day your insulin is low enough for fat burning to actually occur. Here is where timing changes everything. Research from the Salk Institute found that insulin sensitivity, how efficiently your body handles incoming glucose, follows a clear daily pattern. It is highest in the morning and early afternoon. It declines progressively through the afternoon, and by evening, it is significantly lower than it was 8 hours earlier. What this means in practical terms: the same meal eaten at 8 in the morning produces a smaller insulin spike and a faster return to baseline than the same meal eaten at 8 in the evening. At 8 in the morning, your metabolism is primed. Enzymes are active. Insulin sensitivity is high. The meal gets processed efficiently and fat burning resumes quickly. At 8 in the evening, your metabolism is winding down. Insulin sensitivity is low. The same meal produces a higher insulin response that stays elevated longer, blocking fat burning for more of the overnight window when your body should be accessing stored fat for fuel. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism took the same standardized meal and fed it to participants at 2 different times, once in the morning and once in the evening. The evening meal produced 17% higher insulin levels. The evening meal kept insulin elevated for significantly longer. And critically, the evening meal resulted in measurably less fat oxidation overnight compared to the morning meal. Same food, 17% worse metabolic response, simply because of the hour. This is why two people can eat the same diet and get completely different results. The person eating their largest meals earlier in the day, when insulin sensitivity is highest, is burning more fat during the same sleep window than the person eating the same calories later at night. The food is not the variable, the clock is. The concept of time-restricted eating has been studied extensively over the last decade, and the findings consistently point to the same conclusion. Aligning your eating window with the first 8 to 10 hours of daylight produces significantly better metabolic outcomes than spreading meals across the full waking day. A study from the Salk Institute found that participants who ate within a consistent 10-hour window, without changing what they ate, restricting calories, or even exercising, lost an average of 10 to 12 pounds over 16 weeks, reduced waist circumference, lowered blood pressure, and reported better sleep quality. No calorie counting, no food restriction, no exercise, just timing. The research target for most adults over 40 is to complete your last meal at least 3 hours before sleep. This gives insulin time to fall before the overnight fat-burning window opens. It allows growth hormone, which peaks during deep sleep and is the primary driver of overnight fat mobilization, to do its job without being suppressed by elevated insulin. The practical eating window that the research supports is first meal within 1 to 2 hours of waking, last meal by early evening, ideally before 7 or 7:30 in the evening for most people. Nothing but water after that, until morning. Step 1. Front-load your calories like a politician who loads up a stock before an IPO or big announcement. Your largest meal of the day should be your first or second meal, not your last. Breakfast and lunch are the metabolic prime hours. Dinner should be your smallest meal. This single shift aligns your calorie intake with your peak insulin sensitivity window and changes the fat-burning signal your body receives for the rest of the day. Step 2. Establish your eating window. Pick a consistent 10-hour window and stick to it. If you eat breakfast at 7 a.m., your last meal is at 5 p.m. If you eat breakfast at 9 a.m., your last meal is at 7 p.m. Consistency matters as much as the window itself. Your circadian clock strengthens with predictable timing signals. Step 3. Protect the 3-hour buffer before sleep. Nothing but water in the 3 hours before bed. This is the single most impactful timing change for overnight fat burning. It gives insulin time to fall, allows growth hormone to peak during deep sleep, and opens the fat-burning window your body was designed to use every single night. Step 4. Do not break your fast with sugar or refined carbohydrates. The first meal of the day sets your insulin baseline for the next several hours. A high-carb breakfast spikes insulin early and compresses your fat-burning window from the morning end. Start with protein and healthy fat, eggs, Greek yogurt, nuts, berries, bananas, oatmeal, or cottage cheese, and your insulin baseline stays controlled through the critical morning hours. And step number 5, be consistent for at least 2 weeks before judging results. Your circadian clock adapts to timing signals over days and weeks, not hours. Weight loss is an arduous marathon, not an effortless sprint. The metabolic benefits of time-aligned eating compound with consistency. The first week is the adjustment. The second week is where the data starts showing up on the scale and in your energy levels. Drop your current eating window in the comments below. What time is your first meal and what time is your last? The community numbers on this are always surprising, depending on where you come from and your cultural upbringing. We appreciate you joining us for this video. If you learned something new, please hit like and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram and X. Links are in the video description for regular diet and exercise tips and tricks. Visit the diet and exercise website linked in the comments below. We did the research for you and sorted out items that are evidence-backed, with third-party verification that may be worth your money and your time, and not utter bullshit. We'll see you soon.